Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Remember to stay till the end of the video for input on future builds, and like and subscribe for better perception checks next time you play. Maybe. Today we're looking at my favorite member of Organization 13, Axel. Originally showing up in Chain of Memories for the Game Boy Advance, Axel has been sort of a rogue agent, working with and against the organization as he pleases. Now resurrected as Lee, Axel is a certified Keyblade wielder, fighting with the good guys. Until he feels like switching sides again, of course. Let's get started by figuring out what we need for this build. First, we'll figure out how to get his unique chakram weapons. They're not standard in the PHP. Second, we need to set them and everything else on fire. Finally, we'll make sure you've got some dark corridors for easy travel without a ridiculous gummy ship. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just make sure you hit the multi-classing minimums of 13 where you need to. Number 1 will be Charisma. The boy is charming and conniving as hell. And I can say hell because he did in a Disney game for the Game Boy. God, I love Axel. Next up, Dexterity. Those chakrams aren't heavy weapons and we'll need it for our AC. Wisdom after that, his senses are pretty sharp and his insight is on point. Constitution next, he's one of the squishiest org members, but there's still plenty of health bars. Intelligence after that, he worked for Ansem for a while. I don't think he was hiring dummies. And we'll dump Strength. We just really don't need it for anything. Nobodies are still human. Losing your heart doesn't change your race. A variant human is a happy human. They get a feat at first level and we'll take Dual Wielder, letting us add 1 to our AC while holding 2 weapons and draw both at the same time. Round up those numbers in Charisma and Dexterity or Wisdom with your free points. Just remember that we need all of them at 13 for this build. Enjoy a free language of your choice, take Perception as your skill of choice, and you'll get Deception and Insight from the Black Fist Double Agent background. This is tied to the Curse of Strahd book, but basically you're a double agent playing both light and dark against each other. You'll also get 2 skills of your choice when you take the first level of Monk. Go for Acrobatics and Athletics, the latter of which should help mitigate the dumped Strength. We're going with Monk because before his no-bodification, Lee was throwing chakrams around Radiant Garden with his buddy Isa. No fire powers or anything. Just some bladed rings that every kid loves to play with. These will count as monk weapons, meaning that you and your DM get to reskin existing weapons into something fancy. I'd go with short swords. They do 1d6 piercing damage and are finesse weapons. You'll also get Unarmored Defense for an AC of 10 plus your Dex and Wisdom modifiers, which is nice for someone who only wears black cloaks. Finally, you're a martial artist, so your unarmed attacks deal 1d4, use your Dex or Strength mod, and you can make an unarmed attack as a bonus action, though I just dual wield the chakrams. Level 2 monks get key points, which you can use for a flurry of blows to make 2 unarmed attacks instead of 1 as a bonus action. Patient Defense lets you dodge as a bonus action, and Step of the Wind lets you disengage or dash as a bonus action, and it doubles your jump distance. There's also Unarmored Movement, which increases your speed by 10 when you're not wearing armor. Level 3 monks can deflect missiles with their reaction, reducing the damage from ranged weapon attacks by 1d10 plus your Dex mod and your monk level. If you drop it to 0, you can spend a key point to throw it back as an attack that you are proficient with, and it deals your martial arts damage that's 1d4. But I would save those key points for something more in character from your monastic tradition, the Way of the Four Elements. It lets you choose an elemental discipline. Fangs of the Fire Snake increases your unarmed strike range by 10 feet and turns your punches into fire damage instead of normal damage. That lasts until the end of your turn. You can spend another key point to add 1d10 fire damage to one of those attacks. Technically it's supposed to be your hands, but ask your DM if you can take the damage penalty of dealing d4 instead of a d6 for the flavor. They'll probably be okay with it. We'll jump to Sorcerer now. First level Sorcerers know 4 cantrips. Firebolt is a ranged attack spell dealing 1d10 fire damage. Light creates Bright Light in a 20-foot radius and Dim Light 20 feet after that. Dancing Lights creates 4 small torches that make 10 feet of dim light, and you can move them 60 feet as a bonus action as long as they're within 20 feet of each other. Create Bonfire makes a 5-foot cube of fire on the ground that forces dex saves for anyone ending their turn there and dealing 1d8 fire damage to those that fail. Your DC here is 8 plus your proficiency plus your charisma modifier. You also know 2 first level spells. Burning Hands creates a 15-foot cone that deals 3d6 fire damage to anyone that fails their dex save and half to those that succeed. Jump triples your jump distance for a minute and stacks with Step of the Wind in case you really need to hop. You can also pick a sorceress origin, and there are 2 fire sorcerers from Unearthed Arcana. Pyromancer is tempting, but personally I think Phoenix is more in line with the character. Ignite lets you set something flammable on fire as an action on your turn. turn. Better than that though is the Mantle of Flame. This lets you set yourself on fire for 1 minute. Anyone who hits you with a melee attack takes fire damage equal to your charisma modifier, and you can add your charisma modifier to the damage you're dealing with fire spells for a minute. Here's the problem. If you're dual wielding, you can't cast spells with somatic components. That means anything moving your hands, and that's most of them. So you can only have one chakram out at a time at this level. Now, don't worry, we're going to get that fixed up here next level. 4th level monks get an ability score improvement or a feat. We're going with Warcaster. This lets you cast spells with a weapon in each hand and gives you advantage on maintaining concentration when you're taking damage. It also lets you use spells for opportunity attacks instead of just melee attacks. You also get Slow Fall, which lets you reduce fall damage by 5 times your monk level as a reaction. So no worries if you fall off a clock tower chasing some ice cream. 1 more level of monk for this build to get extra attack, as Axel is throwing that fire like it's on sale. 5th level monks also get Stunning Strike, which lets you force a con save on someone you hit with a melee attack, stunning them until the end of your next turn if they fail. Personally, I like Fangs of the Fire Snake more, it's more in character, and now deals the same d6s as your chakrams, but stun away if you've got some kidnapping to do. Now we'll write out Sorcerer to get the most fire possible. 2nd level sorcerers get a Font of Magic with 2 sorcery points that you can spend to recover spell slots. You also learn another spell. Color Spray is a brilliant flash of light that blinds creatures within a 15-foot cone. You roll 6d10 and can blind creatures based off their HP, subtracting it from your roll starting with the creature with the lowest health. At the 3rd level, sorcerers get Meta Magic, letting them manipulate their spells. Careful Spell lets you pick a number of creatures up to your charisma modifier to automatically succeed on saves relating to your spells, so you can boil all the nobodies without boiling Sora. Quicken Spell lets you spend 2 sorcery points to make a spell that takes an action to cast come out as a bonus action instead, meaning that you can still make your attacks. You also can use 3rd level spells and learn 1 more. Check out Scorching Ray, which lets you make 3 ranged spell attacks that deal 2d6 fire damage each. You can aim all of these at one target or aim them at multiple, it still only takes an action to cast. Once again, we might be running into a bit of a problem only dealing fire damage, but we'll fix that with our next level here. 4th level sorcerer, you can take another feat, and the Elemental Adept feat lets you pick your favorite type of damage, fire, and ignore resistance to it. You can also treat 1s on damage die as 2s, which bumps up your minimum damage a little bit. Sadly, this only applies to spells, so it doesn't work for Fangs of the Fire Snake. For your spell, Misty Step lets you teleport 30 feet as a bonus action. We're warming up our dark corridors here. 5th level sorcerers get Fireball every time. Never take another spell at 5th level, always Fireball. It has a range of 120 feet and a radius of 20 feet that deals 8d6 fire damage to anyone inside who fails their dex save, half to those that pass. 6th level Phoenix sorcerers get the Phoenix Spark, meaning once per long rest, if you're reduced to 0 hit points, you can say, "No, I'm not," and stay at 1 HP instead. Then you deal fire damage to everyone within 10 feet of you, equal to your charisma modifier plus half your sorcerer level. If you have your Mantle of Flame going when this happens, that damage is actually your full sorcerer level plus double your charisma modifier, but the mantle ends there. For your spell of choice, might I recommend Haste. It gives a creature within 30 feet of you double speed, plus 2 AC, advantage on dex saves, and an extra action. Casting it on yourself gives you 5 attacks per round thanks to your extra attack, meaning you can really go nuts on something. The spell lasts for 1 minute if you can keep your concentration, and when it ends, the creature you gave it to can't take actions or reactions for 1 round. At 7th level sorcerer, you can learn 4th level spells. Wall of Fire creates a wall of fire. It's 60 feet long, 20 feet high, and 1 foot thick, or you can make it a ringed wall with a 20-foot diameter, which is what he does when you fight him in the old mansion. Creatures within 10 feet of a side of your choice make a dexterity save or take 5d8 fire damage. It lasts for 1 minute if you can maintain your concentration. 8th level is an ability score improvement. Bump up your charisma for more fire damage and harder saves. For your spell at this level, check out Dimension Door. It's like Misty Step with a range of 500 feet, and you can bring a willing creature, but it takes an action to cast instead of a bonus action. With that, I think we've hit all of our goals for this build, but you already know we're going to level 20. 9th level sorcerers learn 5th level spells. Check out Immolation from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Forces a dex save on one target within 90 feet. If they fail, they take 8d6 fire damage and continue to burn for up to a minute unless you lose concentration or they make the save. On the following turn, that damage is only 4d6, not 8d6, but it reduces the target to ash if they die, making them harder to resurrect. At 10th level sorcerer, you can pick another meta magic ability. Distant Spell doubles the range of a spell for 1 sorcery point and works with your Dimension Door, meaning you can teleport up to 1,000 feet away in 6 seconds. Or you could use it on Fireball. For your spell, go for Fog Cloud. It's only a 1st level spell, but it creates a 20-foot radius of fog that obscures vision, could be used for a smoky escape. 11th level sorcerers can learn 6th level spells. Disintegrate deals 10d6 plus 40 force damage to a creature that fails a dex save, and if it drops them to 0, they disintegrate, unable to be resurrected without Wish or True Resurrection. Remember that time Axel snapped his fingers and Vexen just died? Thanos took notes. 12th level Sorcerer is an ability score improvement. Cap out your charisma. It's very important. If you rolled really well, and that's done, go to Dexterity or Constitution next. They're important for AC and concentration, respectively. 13th level Sorcerers get 7th level spells. Firestorm creates 10 10-foot fire cubes. One side of each cube has to touch another. Everyone inside those cubes makes a dex save or takes 7d10 fire damage on a failure, half on a success. 14th level Phoenix Sorcerers get Nourishing Flame, healing you every time you cast a fire spell of 1st level or higher. The amount you heal is equal to the slot level you cast, plus your charisma modifier. Our capstone is the 15th level of Sorcerer and 1 8th level spell slot, letting you learn Incendiary Cloud. It's a 20-foot radius that forces dexterity saves and deals 10d8 fire damage to creatures that fail, half to those that succeed. It lasts for up to a minute if you maintain your concentration. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable of a build this is. First, you've got lots of fire spells that ignore resistance and give you some sweet bonuses as a Phoenix Soul. Next, you've got a lot of great mobility options from your monk levels and your teleportation spells. Finally, you've got some decent self-restoration, healing every time you cast a fire spell, and you've got one use of once more from that Phoenix Spark. The only problem is that might be activating fairly early. Your HP is sitting somewhere right around the 100 mark, very low for a 20th level character, especially one with 5 levels invested in melee combat. Your low constitution also means you're only adding 1 to your concentration saves. Even with the advantage from Warcaster, you're going to be dropping a lot of spells. Finally, every one of your spells is a dex save, and evasion exists, meaning that rogues can basically dodge every single spell you cast and take no damage. Basically, your role is a glass cannon. With a decent group keeping you safe, you'll be able to turn your enemies to ash and teleport away if things get hairy. Just make sure your party knows what you can and can't do so you don't get stuck with all the icky jobs. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. I would imagine Kingdom Hearts fans probably also like Disney, so let me know which Disney character you'd like to see me build. Your options are Mulan, Hercules, or Peter Pan. Come back next week. I am beaming with delight because of how special it will be to have this next character in our canon.